Welcome. I'm the Reverend Barbara F. Myers. I'm the UU Mental Health Network President. Welcome to our service today. We are the UU Mental Health Network. Our organization is committed to sharing the lived experience, time, and resources as we live into our mission, which is to empower the beloved community in honoring everyone's unique mental health journey towards wellness. Once a year during Mental Health Awareness Month, which is May, we provide a worship service focused on the significant role of faith in mental health. And this is our service today. Every time we gather, we join Unitarian Universalist congregations around the world in lighting our chalice, our symbol of safe spiritual sanctuary. So I'll light this chalice here. The love we share for all souls, the light of the free and responsible search for truth and meaning in our world. For those of you joining us online, I invite you now to light your own chalice or candle.
I am Stephanie Joseph, the treasurer of the UU Mental Health Network. Our call to worship is The Shores of Hope by Daniel C. Cantor from the book Shelter in This Place, Meditations on 2020. Arriving on these shores of hope, abandon your cynicism, your despair, your short view of humanity, and look up and see that we are not alone in our separateness. We are not forsaken or forlorn. We can be each other's dreams, unrestrained by desperation. We can see beyond the horizon of setbacks and defeat and know that others have journeyed farther than we have. They have seen so much and not lost themselves in resignation. Arriving on these shores of hope, embrace the here and now, the blessings and the presence of holy matters. Here, now, we are together and we are stronger for it. Whether you are forlorn or uplifted, let us together enter worship as if it was a new matter, a new day, a new chance at life. We are honored to share a music video created by a member of our UU community, Song Written from the Heart by Amy Heath. This piece reflects the kind of honesty, creativity, and spirit that lives among us, and we are grateful for the courage it takes to bring something so personal into the light. Here is Amy singing Witnessing My Breakdown.
Thank you for witnessing my breakdown. My life could have turned into a ghost town, but you managed to stick around. Thank you for witnessing my breakdown. Lived a whole life in a few months, went on the fast lane, hit a few bumps. Told you my thoughts and you never cringed. Worried about boundaries, said I never impinged. Well, thank you for witnessing my breakdown. My life could have turned into a ghost town, but you managed to stick around. Thank you for witnessing my breakdown. Well, I think I'm gonna be all right. I've increased my medication, tempered my panic with your insight. I thank you for your dedication. Well, it's always been me against myself. Always hid my feelings from everyone else. Well, you helped me see that there's only one me, and there's no shame in asking asking for help. Well, you help me see that there's only one me, and there's no shame in asking for help. Thank you for witnessing my breakdown. My life could have turned into a ghost town, but you managed to stick around. Thank you for witnessing my breakdown. Thank you for witnessing my breakdown. My life could have turned into a ghost town, but you managed to stick around. Thank you for witnessing my breakdown. Thank you for witnessing my breakdown. Thank you for witnessing my breakdown.
We're honored today to have two guests that are going to speak with us, and I'd like to introduce them. The Reverend Dr. Sofía Betancourt is the president of the Unitarian Universalist Association. In 2017, she was the first woman to lead the UUA as an interim co-president. She holds a PhD, MA, and MPhil degrees in religious ethics and African American studies from Yale University, an MDiv from Starr King School for the Ministry, and a BS from Cornell University with a concentration in ethnobotany. Her 20-year ministry has included serving as a parish minister, seminary professor, scholar and environmental ethicist, and public theologian. She most recently served as resident scholar and special advisor on justice and equity at the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee. She taught at Yale Divinity School, Starr King School for the Ministry, and Drew University Theological School. She's the author of Eco-Womanism at the Panama Canal, Black Women, Labor, and Environmental Ethics, published in 2022. She lives in the Washington, D.C. area. Her lived identities include being a queer, multiracial, Afro-Latin first-generation daughter of immigrants from Chile and Panama. Welcome, Sofía. Also with us is the UUA Director of Congregational Life, Natalie Aguila Briscoe. Natalie became the Director of Congregational Life this year after working with the UUA's Congregational Life staff for the Southern region. She served congregations in the Southern and Pacific Western regions as a religious educator for over a decade. She has a bachelor's degree in psychology from the University of Texas at Austin and a master's degree in counseling and human development from the University of North Texas. She's the recipient of the Norma Verdon Award for unique and outstanding service in religious education and the Ruth Clark Award for excellence in service to Unitarian Universalism. Her ministry is to help congregations become the best institutional incarnation of Unitarian Universalism that they can be. Welcome, Natalie. And welcome, Sofía, to start with the message.
Thank you so much, Reverend Barbara, for that kind introduction. And thank you to the leadership of our UU Mental Health Network for inviting us to participate in this year's celebration. It is so good to be in community together. As you already heard, I'm the Reverend Dr. Sofía Betancourt. It is my privilege still to serve as president of your Unitarian Universalist Association. And today I'm very aware of being on sacred ground with all of you. Sacred for being in shared community, sacred for bearing witness on a topic where I have the lived experience of family, of blood, and of choice, but not as much personal lived context as others in this holy space. So I honor your wisdom, and I'm grateful for everything that you bring to our faith. Beloveds, we have been focusing our ministry nationally on what it means to meet the moment in these times of real upheaval in our nation and around the world. We know that safer communities and spaces where our freely chosen shared values are held close, with love at the center, matter in ways that we are still fully realizing. And we know that our nation's leaders are not, sadly, not holding the value and the sacredness of our full human family close, right? Targeting many for reasons that are unjust at best and predatory at worst. So the ways that we affirm the dignity and worthiness of everyone in our communities is both revolutionary, just as it is the everyday work of this faith tradition. I want to affirm in the authority of my role as your president that the neurodiversity in our communities and our loved ones is a beautiful, irreplaceable, and holy part of who we are as Unitarian Universalists. We've been on a journey of inclusion in so many ways over the years, and while there always remains work to be done, I'm so grateful for who we become when all of us are here in community together. Right? We know from conversations in our communities, conversations with your leaders at the UU Mental Health Network also, that a clear majority of UUs have experienced a mental health crisis themselves or been touched by the experiences of a loved one. I know I have been. Right? And I'm committed, just as your UUA staff and all of our colleagues are, to continue working to remove the stigma associated with this part of human life and human living. Our calling, made clear by the love that we hold at the center of our faith, is to build our institutions with access, inclusion, celebration, and support of all in beloved community. I would ask all of us as leaders and members of congregations and communities in Unitarian Universalism to discuss openly, to continue to discuss openly mental health in our congregations, to celebrate and center the voices of our neurodivergent members and friends so that all of us might continue to learn and grow in our faith formation together. Our shared stories increase safety, and they also remind us of who we most long to be in this liberal and liberating tradition. I really want to thank our UU Mental Health Network for their ongoing ministry to empower community by honoring everyone's unique mental health journey. Thank you. Thank you not only for bearing witness and leading our movement over the past decade, but also for offering resources and community over those years. I want to congratulate your president, the Reverend Barbara Myers, for her upcoming book, Beloved as We Are. That is so beautiful. Creating a congregational culture of disability inclusion, co-written with Shelley Rowe and available for pre-order in the In Spirit bookstore online. I am going to put, nope, that is not it. I'm going to grab and then put a link directly to that pre-order in the chat if you will give me just one moment. I thought I had it ready to go. There we go. I'm so grateful for these and other resources like it, and for the ways that they support and uplift how we are in community together. Beloveds, it is so clear that our faith calls us to embrace mental health together in community. And so to that end, I want to pass this microphone and this time to my colleague, Natalie Briscoe, our fabulous Director of Congregational Life at your UUA, to talk a little bit about offerings and resources before we open up this time for a bit of Q&A together. Thank you, beloveds.
Thank you, Reverend Sofía. Hello. As mentioned, my name is Natalie Briscoe, and I am the Director of Congregational Life for your Unitarian Universalist Association. So what that means is that you may have had contact with your regional staff. I oversee the regional staff in all 5 of the regions of our UUA, in addition to a team of specialists, specialists dealing with conflict, employment issues in congregations, stewardship, and lay leadership. So I kind of consider myself as a big programmer for the UUA. I get the honor and the privilege of figuring out where our voices are needed, where expertise is needed, and then putting the right people in the right spots to be able to do that. And luckily, since January, your Director of Congregational Life has a background in mental health, and in fact used to work in the state mental health system. So I'm very aware and bring that lens to everything we do, every program that we do, every offering that we give. I will give you one online resource, which is the UUA's page for disability and accessibility, which is uua.org/accessibility. On that, you'll find a slew of resources, including the Uplift blog. The Uplift Action blog is an amazing space to get not only resources for mental health advocacy in the congregation, but also to network with folks throughout the association who are likewise working on that, such as yourselves. The second thing that I would love to give you is something that you already have, but you may not know it, which is a deep and abiding partnership with your congregational life staff. Your regional staff is 100% here for you and this justice work. We have made a commitment in the past year, well, more than a year, but really in the past year, that every program, interaction, call, class, workshop, every single thing that Congregational Life does with and for our constituents, our Unitarian Universalist Association, is trauma informed, because we are living in a time when that is inescapable. We are living in a time when the world does not permit us to function as our best selves anyway. So when we are all on a spectrum and our mental health, a spectrum of our mental health and wellness and our own journeys, the capacity is different at this time. We do not have the capacities to care for others and ourselves in a way that we used to be able to before late stage capitalism has attacked us in these last few years. So everything that we have put together and done is trauma informed and has gone through an accessibility audit. So all the courses on UU Institute, which is another great place to find resources, all of the blogs have that accessibility lens, making sure that it is accessible to everyone. Finally, contacting your congregational life staff helps you get connected to a whole list of resources. They are the ones who are local, working with congregations, and understand the areas in which you live and operate. So they can do the local resources and the local referrals. We, on Congregational Life staff, have focused on the education and serving of professional and lay leaders in the capacity that we are living in now, in this current capacity. And that means that we are not afraid to modify offerings, to change the format, to change the time frame, to change the accessibility of materials, making sure that the largest number of folks that need to access that can. So that is, I think, all I can bring you. Oh, let me just say also, if you do not know or have never contacted your regional staff before, you can go to the UA website and get on the Congregational Life page. and it will take you to your regions page. If you don't know what region you're in, there's a map. And if you don't know who to contact in your region, there is a regional email and phone number on each one of the regions pages. And if you don't want to go through all that and you still can't find the thing that you need or the person to talk to, you can always email conglife@uua.org, CONGLIFE, and that goes straight to my office, and we will get you hooked up with the person that you need to be hooked up with. I am really excited to be in this position at this time. And I'm very excited to say that I am your personal liaison to the UUA. So I look forward to many, many years of great partnership.
Okay, well, thank you, Natalie. That was very helpful, very inspiring and helpful. And we're now going to have a question and answer portion of the service today. And so I do have a set of questions that the UU Mental Health Network came up with, but I also want those of you who are in attendance now to know that if you have a question that you'd like to address to Reverend Sofía or Natalie, you can type it in the chat, and Stephanie Joseph will keep an eye on it and make sure that we get your question to our guests. So I'll start out with a question. We're wondering, how is it that you at the denominational level become aware of mental health issues? You know, there's some regular way you do it, or some you just hear it anecdotally, or is there some other way that you become aware of mental health challenges?
Do you mean particular to a congregation, like a mental health issue in a congregation?
Yeah.
I would say definitely through your congregational life staff. They are the ones who are the most intimately involved in the congregations. And we have had more than a few instances of mental health instances in congregations. We have had professional instances in congregations, which made it difficult for that person to serve. And so we had to look at our employment practices and the things that we offered in terms of guiding congregations toward fair, ethical, and values-based employment. Luckily, on that specialist team I mentioned, we have Jane Gardner, who is the Congregational Staffing Services Director. I had to make sure I got that right. It's a long title and it's new. And she will often hear of things as well, since many of our professionals are aware of their own mental health and will ask for things in their contracts. And we are always very willing to put whatever they need in there. But yeah, congregational life staff, we definitely can help a congregation through those situations.
That's both for what's happening in the congregation, but also for the ministers and the staff members that may be employed as well, because they a lot of times have the strain, especially when we saw it during COVID, a lot of stress on the ministers when trying to manage that a complete change in the way they were doing business, and it's very difficult for many people.
If I could just real quick say, congregational life staff works with the whole of the congregation. So please don't feel any hesitancy in reaching out to regional staff. They're there for you. Anyone can reach out to regional staff. And when these instances occur, we will work with the entire congregation, not just the folks who are involved in any said incident or the person who is experiencing a mental health crisis at that time, so that it not only brings awareness to the congregation, not only erases the stigma from that event happening, but also so that we can help folks understand the context and the frequency with which these things happen. And of course, we only disclose what the folks want us to.
Okay, good. Thank you. Let's see. We have the UU Mental Health Network has a UUA liaison. Her name is Jenica Davis Hockett, and she's been very helpful when we have had a specific request. For example, she helped us put together we wanted to have a set of resources for children and youth for mental health for people in congregations. And she found some directors of religious education who could help put together, who had some expertise in that area, and helped to put together a very large collection of resources, which is now available on our website. So that was a really helpful effort that Jenica helped. And so there are a number of things that we'd like to see happen in congregations, and I guess I'd like to ask your opinion about how we might go about making some of this happen. So one is encouraging congregations to learn about mental health issues and how they affect their congregation. I know I personally have spoken to a fair number of congregations and talked to them about mental health issues. And usually at the end of it, I ask people to rise in body or spirit if they or a loved one of theirs has lived with a mental health issue. And it's the vast majority of people stand up. Sometimes it's everybody. And they all look around and can't believe it, that's happened. And I wish we could get that out to every congregation, because a lot of times it's the first time people knew that all these people they've known for years in their congregation are also suffering some way from this crisis, So how do we encourage more congregations to think about how mental health affects them, other than inviting me to 1,000 congregations?
This question, Reverend Barbara, is so live for us right now. If I can throw the word scale into our conversation, right? We have benefited on so many, especially justice areas, from someone like you, a group like the UU Mental Health Network, doing the work, right, to educate more of us, to help us understand how this is central to our values, to how we build community, right, to the future of beloved community. And it matters. And there comes a time where exactly what you just said, we can't actually send you to 1,000 congregations, as beautiful, right, an impact as that might have. And so we talk about, what does it look like to scale these ministries, scale resources and support that everybody actually really needs. And one of the things right now that's really live is this Meet the Moment effort at the UUA, really looking at what are the, frankly, changing needs given the times that we are in. It's not that, right, reducing stigma and inclusion, not reducing inclusion, reducing stigma, increasing inclusion, right, and really addressing the resources that we need together wasn't necessary before this recent era, but we're seeing beloveds targeted in different ways right now. And so these Meet the Moment cohorts, we call them wave cohorts, are really important to bring people together from across different congregations and communities into dialogue about what we need right now, and then to be in a strategizing mode with UUA staff about how we can together bring some of those things into being. We actually have had a wave cohort that came out of Uplift access. You'll see that blog link that I put in the chat and that Natalie talked to us about, that was about disability justice writ large. And they did some really beautiful work around education and advocacy and talking about, right, what is unique in our body minds, what's necessary, how do we build a UU disability identity? They asked some really powerful questions. And a thing that is on my mind is, what if we did a WAVE cohort specifically on mental health, right? So we started with disability justice, and I think we could there is more than enough to discuss for there to be an entire WAVE cohort around neurodivergence and mental health writ large, and how we support our congregations and supporting all of us, right, in our needs. And so one also is just our relationship with the UU Mental Health Network and the UUA through Jenica or other ways. Like, please, we always want to hear your wisdom on what is needed right now. I love that through our primary contacts and congregational life staff and regional staff, that we have a level of knowing what's happening in our communities that we didn't always have. It's really important. And some of the word of mouth still happens. I want to be honest that, somebody knows somebody and we get a phone call, which is also important. But this broader in dialogue across communities and spaces to really support how we are collectively doing this work, I think is so meaningful right now. It's already having a real impact. There's a webinar and some of our early learnings about that. And also our accessibilities resources coordinator, this is Gretchen Money, has put a report together of what came out of that uplift action, uplift accessibility original WAVE cohort. So I'm hoping for the next iteration of the conversation, but also really want to extend both my gratitude and an invitation for us to remain in dialogue, because our identity organized orgs are another really positive way, right, to keep us in actual awareness of what is needed in this rapidly changing moment that we're in.
Okay, thank you. I'll be looking forward to participating in that. Okay.
I would love that.
Good. Okay. One thing we'd like to do is to encourage congregations to have mental health awareness sermon or a program of some sort every year during the month of May. And so we're doing it here in the Mental Health Network, but we'd like to get the message out to congregations in general. And there are a handful of them that are doing it, but to try to get the message out. And I'm not quite sure how to go about doing that. Other than, I don't know, if you guys have any good suggestions, that would be helpful.
I promise I'm not a one note song here. But again, contacting your regional staff, we can put it in our regional newsletters and encourage people to get involved. And also, this would be a really great opportunity to get our organizing and strategy team involved, because they often do 30 days of love, or we're going to focus on this month, or, and folks know to expect those. And it's always easier to tell folks something that they expect to hear than something that's new. So piggybacking on that, I think would be great.
Oh, thank you. That's a great.
Can I add two other things? I'm sorry to interrupt, Reverend Barbara. The two other things I would add is I would love to see more resources in Worship Web. Can we gather some of the things that are already being used in our liturgies and our worship practices? Even some of the faith formation pieces sometimes find their way, especially if it's something like the month of May is Mental Health Awareness Month. I think Worship Web would be a beautiful place just to have resources. It's often where our religious professional colleagues go when they're starting to look for how other UUs have addressed things. And also, I think outreach to UU World would be great, right? Whether it's something that comes in a spring issue, because those tend to come out in April, which is perfect timing right before May, but also their new newsletter, Wayfinder, is often one of the first that people look at. And so it would be lovely, right, to emphasize some of these pieces.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
We attempted to work with the UU World April issue, but it didn't work out this year. But
it takes a year in advance. This would be the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
It takes a while.
Okay, thank you. Those are really great ideas.
Can I
Did-
just note that we do actually have a question in the chat? I'm sorry to
do
interrupt
we
you
have
from
we
Anna.
have a question in the chat?
We do. Brenna Kelly wrote, I'm curious about ways we can offer our congregation's mental health support as a spiritual practice, which I think is a great question.
Yes.
Natalie, do you want me to kick off on this? Do you have
Yeah.
thoughts?
Well,
Sure.
Go ahead.
I think that, and again, I wanna point you to our organizing strategy team. This is the team that hosts Side with Love and so many of our justice-oriented works, but they also put out so many resources that land in between worship and justice, which really can help our faith formation and our spiritual practices. I think that one of the things that for me is most impactful when we are talking about any group within our community and how we keep ourselves mindful, right? Keep ourselves grounded, make sure that we keep connected to needs and other things that I associate with spiritual practice, which is often about mindfulness, memory, expanding ourselves, what we know, right? And to me, so much of that is about connecting the goals that we're holding in community with the values that we profess as UUs. And I know that there has been a lot of beautiful writing. Uplift Actions blog actually has, I saw something like maybe 10 blog entries around neurodiversity and inclusion and faithful kind of UU identity and practice. So I would send you in that direction. Gretchen helped me with that list, but more than that, finding ourselves at the intersection, whether it's our newly expressed values or the purposes and principles that we still hold dear, even if they're not in our bylaws anymore. I try to highlight this, that what we believe and who we are is actually about more than our rules and our governance, right? And we still say the affirmations from the 1930s, and I still hold our purposes and principles dear, even as we live into our newly expressed shared values. But those places where we connect how we are called to be in community and in our daily living with the values that we hold together, to me, is where practice grows. And so I think certainly as we continue to put resources out to congregations and communities, I hope that we will continue to pick those up. But also I invite you in your own practice to share not just your personal story, but also what keeps you, right, mindful and aware and connected, especially when times are hard, with each other, because that's how we grow.
Yeah. Thank you. I think we've run out of the time.
Probably.
We could just keep talking for another hour or more if we
could.
wanted to, but I want to be respectful of the time that we had. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Really
you.
been very helpful. Lots of good ideas.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'm going to move
Thank you,
into
beloveds.
the offertory. Today's offering will support the UU Mental Health Network in our mission to promote mental health awareness, education, advocacy within the UU communities. The mission of our network is to empower the beloved community in honoring everyone's unique mental health journey towards wellness. We envision a world where the beloved community is a place where all members feel welcomed, understood, and held in love, engages in respectful curiosity to understand emotional distress, welcomes open, authentic, fearless sharing about mental health, and passionately commits to mental health justice. The areas we focus on are education, worship, support, and social justice. We welcome your presence, your ideas, and your support as we carry out this mission. You can find out more on our website, uumentalhealth.org. As we give today, may we remember that care for one another is not separate from spiritual life, it's part of it. Every contribution helps strengthen communities rooted in compassion, dignity, connection, and hope. Thank you.
This next piece is an original composition also by Amy Heath. The song offers a glimpse into her own journey, questions, and reflections. It is a reminder of the depth of wisdom that exists among us, often quietly until shared. Here is Amy singing Some Levity.
I think I know who I am, but maybe I forgot. Trying to fit inside this image of somebody who I'm not. And I think about quitting, I think about it a lot. And I remember my community and everything I've got. It's important to notice even the little things, like snow on my balcony and the joy the sunshine brings. And sometimes I get wrapped up in negativity. Gotta put it in perspective and give it some levity. Some levity. 9 to 5 is hard. We all wear a mask. Try to push through our to-do list and every little task. Yeah, I think about quitting, think about it a lot. Then I think of all my blessings and everything I've got. It's important to notice even the minor joys, cuts through the agony and all that annoys. Sometimes I get wrapped up in negativity. Gotta put it in perspective and give it some levity. Some levity. And maybe you're not measuring quite up to par. In the big picture, does it matter? Or define who we are? And maybe you're not measuring quite up to par. In the end, does it matter? Or define who we are? I think I know who I am. Maybe I forgot. Try to fit inside this image of somebody who I'm not. I think about quitting, think about it a lot. And I remember my community and everything I've got. Everything I've got. Everything I've got. Everything I've got.
Oh, beautiful. Can I express my gratitude to Amy and to Sal, both of whom I get to be in worship with on a regular basis because we're actually in the same congregation. So I get blessed by that music regularly. I want to start our benediction with words from the Reverend Anna Bladel, who I had the privilege of having as a student when I was at Drew in their beautiful and blessed ministry. Reverend Anna writes, "Disability justice asks, what do you need? What do you need to live and move free?" Disability justice asks, what do we need? What do we need to survive and heal and thrive? Disability justice proclaims that earthly belonging is birthright. and sacred worth is inherent, and our need for each other is a hallowed gift and a precious offering. So as we go forth back into our regular and everyday lives from this sacred space, may we hold fast to one another, to the communities like Amy shared with us, that uplift us, that support us, that encourage us to be our full and whole and beautiful selves. And when times are hard, may we remember that we are not alone, that the days we are in are intentionally being organized to make us feel like we cannot continue. It is together, in our connections, in our values, and in our faith, that we find our way back to center and to the healing journey that we are on together. Beloveds, may you be whole and holy and well until we meet again. Amen. Ashe, and blessed be.
Now I will invite you to extinguish the flame of your chalice as I extinguish this one. Extinguish this flame, grateful that it's given us light to hear the message of our faith about the importance of religious and spiritual life when dealing with mental health issues in our congregations. Amen.